I'm Charlie Bride of Gold Derby, and today I'm talking with Raoul Peck, the director of the documentary Silver Dollar Road, which will be streaming on Prime Video starting on October 20th. First question I wanted to ask you is, you may have explained this in the documentary, it probably just went right over my head, but could you explain how was Adams Creek Associates able to lay claim to this land that had been in the Reels family for generations?
Well, it started when the first or the second owner of the whole property, which was the grandfather of Mamie and Gertrude, etc., bought the land. And once he died, because he didn't have a will, thinking that if it stay in the whole for the whole family, it will be more secure, which is what heirs property is. But in fact, it does fragilize the title. And so when one family, because everybody is stakeholders then of the property, whether you live on it or you move on to New Jersey or to Texas, you somehow have piece of the property. And one particular brother, whose name was Shedrick, who died since then, pretend that he owned that little 13 acres underwater. And he brought papers with him because the laws allows that. There is a partition laws, torrents law, a number of laws that, with loopholes, a lot of the time, that allows you to claim your part as a stakeholder of the heirs property. And the consequence of it is either the whole land has to be sold through an auction, and usually the families lose the whole land for little money, or it succeed, as in this case, to find the paperwork to say I own that piece of land now, even though he brought a fraudulent deed. But mistakes have been made on both sides, by both lawyers' side, and the family was not properly informed of that new deed, so that when they start complaining and protest about it, the time was passed. They had only 1 year to say that they didn't accept that. So from now on, you have two parts that are fighting and saying that they have the right papers, and then Shedrick sell it to another person, who sell it to another promoter, who sell it in his turn to Adam Creek Associates. So you already have a series of people who just add up in the chaos. And the family, from their point of view, they have been on this land forever. Even the grandmother, 96-year-old grandmother today, was born on the property. And I visited at least 3 cemeteries on that vast property. So it's not, you can imagine what it is for the two brothers. That's their identity. And more than that, that's their living livelihood. The whole family have lived on that place, fishing, hunting, farming. So imagine one of your very far away cousin who never really set foot on that place say, well, you know what? I own one piece and I want it now. So it's not just a justice case, it's a human case. And the justice itself has not played a good role in that story, because they allowed that exploitations of loopholes. They allow that the family was not properly informed of the situation, etc., etc. And then you get a situation where everything becomes worse, to the absurdity of those two brothers going to jail for nothing.
Yeah,
trespassing and contempt. That's
Is
absurd.
so heartbreaking watching that and seeing how long that they were incarcerated. Is this kind of problem that the real family is experiencing something that's widespread? Like, is this something that has happened to a lot of people? I'm guessing predominantly African American families, and I'm guessing in the South most likely.
Well, it's systematic. Yes, it's all over the republic, and minorities, and of course indigenous people as well, black farmers. Don't forget, historically, if you know the history of this land, it was always about land from the first day. You know, stealing the land of the indigenous people, killing them, pretending that you have a right to own property, which is a totally European concept at the time. Private property did not exist. The indigenous nation always considered themselves the custodian of that land. The very concept of private property, this is capitalism. So and the people you steal the land for, and the people you brought in and you considered as well commodities, Africans, and they worked that land and they created as well the wealth of this country. And until many years after the Civil War, you did not, until the 14th Amendment, you didn't even recognize them as citizens, which would have enabled them to have access to land and to benefit from all the homestead laws, by example, that gave land to settlers. So basically, you take out all the possibility for them to build their own livelihood. And you just slap them with the idea of, well, why don't you take yourself by your own bootstrap, which is an absurdity. No one on this continent ever did that.
It's like,
No
if
one.
you ever actually literally tried it, you can't do it. You got to stand up.
Yeah, so it's basically an insult to common sense and to the people who, by the way, were never parasites. They are the one who built the country. Not to mention, you know, a long line of Chinese immigrant, of Japanese immigrant, all the nationalities. You know, you know I like the idea. Well, it's a melting pot. But how come when it's about time to eat that that pot, you know, some people are excluded from the eating pot, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the sad story of the dream, you know, and the sad story of make America great again, because unfortunately it was never great for everybody, you know?
Too true. You were saying, it's very heavy subject matter that you're covering in this. But what I'm actually curious about here is, were there any moments of joy with the Reels family that you particularly enjoyed getting to document?
Well, first of all, the idea was to become intimate with the family, as real human being. That's why I didn't start the film with the prison issue, because it's almost a side issue, or it's the climax of a situation. But the core story is a family, you know, and you have to show them as human being in their joy, their moment. You know, we start with a celebration, a birthday, where all the kids and grandkids come to salute the grandmother, you know, and that's a great feelings. And I felt that's the first shot we did, because I thought it was an incredible moment to have on camera. And it was also the introduction to all the rest of the family who came from very different places from the country, in the country. So it was about that. You know, it was about those moments of life, of everyday life, of parties. And throughout the film, you know, I show that. And until the end, we end with a picnic, because life goes on. You know, you have a moment of drama in your life, but that moment should not define you. You know, it's not because, you know, those two men are not criminals. and they spent 8 years in prison, and they still feel and know and say that they have done nothing. Those are the last words of Lee Curtis, and I've done nothing. So in order to stick, you have to feel empathy to that family. You have to recognize yourself in that family, and that's what I try to do throughout the film.
So this may seem like a bit of a silly question, but so when I see a picnic like that, like what we see towards the end, I am very curious, and this is my own curiosity here. Did you get to have any of the food that was there?
Well, I can reassure you, we did. No, I mean, for me as the director, it was more complicated because they all the time, like, somebody would come, Raoul, did you eat? Raoul, did you eat? Take some. And I was trying to make sure that I filmed everything I needed, that I can see the whole situation, from the back, and finding my room where I'm not into the cameras, etc. So, but it at that stage, I think it was toward the end of the production, so we knew each other well, and we felt welcome, to shoot that kind of, you don't feel that everybody's looking at the camera. We were discreet, of course, but still we felt we were part of the family, and that's something they did well. They made us feel at home, because they knew the core story was, would reflect on the whole family as well, and they were very supportive of the film. They knew it was important for them that the words comes out of that little community, and that would probably protect them more, because they felt like they were alone all these years. They were subjected to all sort of abuse, and no matter what they do, they would always lose. So having this film now, and that's what Mamie said in one of the Q&A, she said, she felt that the weight on her shoulder were not there anymore, because the film was telling the story for her now.
This one last question I have, and it's a bit different, but I don't get many chances to talk with people that were in a position like you. I write about the Cannes Film Festival every year, and you were a jury member in 2012 alongside a crazy list of people, including Hiam Abbas and Alexander Payne and Ewan McGregor and Jean-Paul Gaultier and Diane Kruger. What was that experience like, being a member of the jury for the Cannes Film Festival?
I think it's the most incredible way to watch films. We were watching at least 2, sometimes 3 films a day, and every 2 days we would have a meeting and discuss, which one we are keeping, which one we are put aside, which one we believe could have a prize, so that we don't end up at the end of the festival with a mountain of films and a mountain of discussion. So, and it was a great process, because a jury is become very intimate, because in order to convince the other, you have to say something about yourself, about your love of film, about situations you have been in, about family situations, about love, about death. So it's a very serious discussion, because it's not a game, and most of us are from the entertainment industry. We know our job. All of them were very well-known professionals. So it's an incredible riches to see different people, different way of seeing a film or seeing a story, having an incredible productive discussion. So it's really one of the best way to experience cinema with colleagues and talking about cinema.
Were you happy with? Were you satisfied with Amour being chosen for the Palme d'Or?
It's a long story. I'm not really authorized to talk about it, but it's the last day. it's a day where suddenly all the people come out with their knives. And so you have to pair one knife and stick yours while anticipating the next blow. And so it's a dynamic. It's a dynamic, and we find a way, we find a solution. And I think all of us at the end of the day, even though somebody would have pushed one other film for the Palme d'Or, but there was a consensus at some point that Amour should have it, and that's it. And we have all agree at the end result, and no matter how it end up to that result, but it's part of that process. And as long as that process is very transparent and very clear, and there is no manipulation, we are all fine with it.
Well, it's very diplomatic and a very good note to end this on. Raoul, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best. And to all our viewers, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to keep going to Gold Derby to make all your awards predictions. Thanks so much, Raoul.
Thank you. Thank you.